Okay, so we need to look at how we rule the tool. And this is sort of going one by one behind the training tools that we use to try and help our clients understand and to help you understand that the training tool doesn't make the exercise. The exercise requires the training tool to enhance it. And by that I mean that by now you have a reason to choose the movement you're going to choose. And that reason's strong. It's because you know the muscles to affect the skill you want to work on, the outcome, the amount of time you need to train, and you know the joint actions that need to occur. So now it's just a simple case of loading that in the most appropriate way to challenge the body in a way that will allow you the outcome that you want. So what we have here is we have several different ways of doing that, and I'm going to show you 11 of them. So this is by no means an exhaustive list, but if you get the theory behind it, you don't need the list. So let's start with barbell. The barbell, you can see in this video, works in two cool ways. It works with momentum. So you see at the top of the range, look, Kaiser has to slow down that momentum of the bar traveling back. But it also works with gravity. So there's a lot of resistance there, or there's some resistance there stopping the pull. And then there's the momentum at the top. So it's a good exercise to show both ends of the scale. Barbells are useful because you can load them really heavily. Barbells are useful because you can load some asymmetry on them. And so they're a really interesting tool. We do some funky stuff with them sometimes and get into trouble for that. But essentially, most exercises in the gym that are free weight based are built around either the barbell or the dumbbell. Which brings us on to the dumbbell. So dumbbells, similar to a barbell, it affects momentum, it affects gravity. You can load it quite heavy. You can also offset load, so you could have a heavy right hand and a light left hand, but it allows for individual limb movement, which means you could do a shoulder press with a row or some other combination, a fly and a bench press. You can see in this exercise, look, that it's gravity that's doing the job on the way up, but decelerating the momentum on the way down, especially because of that lever length. That's also an important component of what the dumbbell brings to an exercise. So then we have bands. Now bands are interesting. They can be used for any kind of normal movement, a push and a pull and a squat and a press. What's great about them is you can have a specific vector to them. So you can move the band so that it comes from any angle to the exercise. It progressively gets tougher to push a band until the point where it stops being tough and either snaps or just stops completely. That's why I like the encased bands rather than bands that are exposed. You can use it to assist or resist any kind of motion. Pulling's on there, but it can be any kind of motion. They're portable, so they're really handy for trainers. But it's quite hard to load them heavy. If you get the band that's thicker, then you lose range. So the best way to load them heavy is more bands that allow range, but it's still quite tough to get a heavy weight out there in comparison with, say, a bar or a dumbbell or, say, even a kettlebell. Then we have a cable. Cables are kind of cool too, so you can still get resistance at specific vectors, especially when you've got a multi-height adjustment on the cable. They allow for quite high level loading, as long as you're in a position that you can hold the load and move the load. They can work in an opposite sort of curve, resistance curve to, say, a dumbbell. So some people will do a bench press, a dumbbell bench press, and they'll have cables attached to their wrists. Then at the top end of the range of a dumbbell bench press, the dumbbell's pushing straight down into the bench. There's no turning force at the shoulder. but the cable's at full stretch, and so the weight is highest and pulling hardest. When the arms are fully down, the weights are rested on the cable, but the dumbbell is providing the resistance. For cables, I really like a cable. It allows a lot of versatility. It allows you to train a number of exercises one after the other without too much setup. And because you can get a high resistance on there, but it is pretty safe, no weights are going to land on you, it's quite a nice training tool to use. The only downside is that it's not really a realistic momentum, whereas a dumbbell can be more of a realistic momentum. Then we have a GRIPR or a sandbag or a steel bell or a whatever you put in that bag full of stuff. I really like these. You can go quite heavy, use them for gravity, use them for momentum. The grips, really cool. You can get some isometric pulls or pushes on there, and that can change muscle recruitment and posture as you move. And they're quite good underfoot as well. You can use them to change in the environment underfoot or underhand, so you can change the movement of the center of gravity of the body, which is quite useful. Quite good when you're training someone to perform in areas that aren't going to be all that predictable underfoot. We have the CMT. The CMT is a real love or hate kind of training tool. And so it's a strange thing because all it actually does is provide an impulse of resistance that's quite high compared to the weight that's inside the container. The only thing I can see that comes close to this is if somebody threw a medicine ball and you palmed it away. Or if someone threw a medicine ball and you kicked it away, that's a similar kind of impulse force where you're meeting the force just after a change of direction. So it doesn't provide a momentum into a space, it provides resistance once you're moving, which is a great way of improving acceleration. You can hit any vector with this and you can change direction at any point. So it can be a really specific resistance. We've seen some excellent changes in club speed for golf when we've used it. It's also been helpful for increasing people's running speed. I'm going to press play now so you can hear it, but it gives an auditory feedback. So when it's done well, you hear a ch, ch. When it's not done so well, you hear a sh, sh, all relative to you as a client, obviously. And there you go, no sound. Here we are. Some of the sound you can hear is Chris breathing out quite heavily. Okay, then we have the VIPR. And the VIPR is a really cool training tool. It offers you momentum and gravity. It's really safe to drop, to throw. You can use it to offset the ground from your hands, and you could use it as an unstable movement for a roll if you put your foot on there too. They do come quite heavy. They're not like massively heavy. The amount of different grips allows you to offset the weight, so you can play with center of gravity as you move as well. And it's just a really cool training tool. I like to use them for isometric grips and offering a resistance while doing running training, so locomotion training. They're really cool for. Straps, love the straps. So suspension trainer, some people call them, any kind of strap. I like the ones with 2 pivot points rather than 1. And what they allow is that they allow for different body weight movements, for movements of center of gravity around, providing sort of momentum and a different fulcrum for the body. They can assist movements, they can resist movements. They're really interesting in the way that they can put the body under pressure. I like to use them in sports where people could get hit, so that you can move away and towards this motion. And it provides that resistance at the point of change, which is just before the point you get hit with a CMT, but doesn't necessarily affect your body with momentum like a VIPR. If you put the three together, you'd probably have a really good sort of like specific point training for changing direction, which would be a really nice combination. The straps again with a partner. I like this because you can change the pivot point, the fulcrum point of the movement. You can change the resistance. You can be very vector specific. You can assist and resist momentum. You can make it a completely unpredictable motion. Great for circuits when you want to double people up, and partner work and teamwork. And then the medicine ball. The medicine ball, not too dissimilar to sort of a mixture between the GRIPR and the dumbbells. They're quite cool. They're safe to throw. You can get 2-hand grips on them. They can change the ground, so you can put your hands on them and push up, or you can put your feet on them and push up. You can squeeze them and get isometric contractions on them. They provide momentums that's vector specific, and so I do love a medicine ball. Kettlebells. Kettlebells are really good, especially if you're skillful or talented with them. They provide resistance through gravity or momentum. It's possible to throw and catch them to yourself. They're really great for grip training. They allow for a heavy load, but they're also good for high reps. They come with a whole training system. There's 2 different camps. There's 2 different strict forms. But because they come with that, they can be a great motivator for clients to learn to do an exercise for a reason. On the floor, they can be a ground changer. Not normally for the feet, but quite good for the hands. Quite often they can be a ground changer and at the same time offer resistance to a movement. I really got a lot of time for kettlebells. And then body weight. This is Scott showing some of the movements on his body weight course that we offer. That is a plug. I mean, it's a plug. Let's not mess about. But this is quite cool. It shows how you can use gravity, ground reaction and momentum just from throwing and moving limbs. Great for our training intention skill, as well as vertical displacement down and rapid change of direction. Great for balance training. It's kind of safe from external collisions, so you're not going to drop yourself on yourself probably. Can improve to sort of improve your self skills and your skills of everyday life. And it's quite good. I've seen people who develop all kinds of bodyweight movements who then can use them in everyday life. They get more confident in themselves, and you see a change in their posture through how much they love themselves, not just through the changes in muscle strength. So that's our rule the tool section. If you're watching this on YouTube, because I put it up as a video to show you some of the cool stuff we do, then awesome. You're going to have missed the modules before, and you're going to miss the task with this and the tasks that the rest of the Mentorship 2s are going to do after. I'm sure I'll have put the bodyweight training and the Mentorship 2 links in there. If you're on the course, sorry about that plug, but the kids need coats. It's nearly winter. Anyway, let's move on to the next component.